artist partnerships, the opportunities and the challenges that are there. You know, with the wheels of time passing, have you seen that the role of art and business has actually morphed? I mean, artists and culture have become more needed than they ever had in the history of time. Think about even the time of COVID. And I know I talk a lot about COVID this time because I think in itself, that was a marker that changed the way we live. And many organizations have their backs to the wall, just trying to find how they can collaborate with the artists in our society. Business and art partnerships can be constructive for both the artist as well as the company, because arts in themselves are underpinned by creativity and innovation. Think about that for a second. So consequently, you find that if a business comes together with an artist, they will bring a different kind of critical thinking maybe to how they're doing things and even how they're problem solving as a business. Now, in some parts of the world right now, they're saying that more than half of businesses actually value artist partnership because art is giving the business a new kind of message that's grabbing their audience and their target market a little differently. The creative industry is also trying to find ways to give employees within that business an outlet, and perhaps even to have their employees embrace even their own artistic talents. Now, you as a business, you in Zimbabwe, can this be said? Can this be true of us as Africans, but also someone in Zimbabwe? So as we discuss this, the business community supporting artistic industry, right now, the business community is art's biggest patron. Now it's a little bit different. It is the business community that is supporting art. And despite anything you might have heard, partnerships can be difficult. Ask Fafi, ask Marvelous that I was telling you about earlier, and perhaps you yourself may have some sort of story to tell with partnerships. Because finding solutions to any business partnership may also bring about problems. So how do you within a partnership perform at your best? We want to talk a lot about that today. Here and now, can you identify the challenges and opportunities that are associated with artist collaboration if you are a business? And just don't limit your thinking to influencer and brand ambassadors. Think a little bit deeper. For us as a country, could artist partnership leadership be something we could have and help our industry thrive? Now, these conversations need the right kind of voices in them. And I'm quite excited. If you did know already, we have one man. Now, let me give you a clue about this guy before I even tell you who he is. Not only is he a cultural curator, not only is he a creative director, I tell you, when you read his posts, when you hear his voice and opinions on things, you would think you would meet a man, a giant of a man. And then, just like me, and he's not the only one who goes through this. I too experienced this. I remember I was about to say her title, and if I do, you then know who she is. Some woman from some big organization, right? So she'd been listening, like we all do, to people we like on radio, not knowing what they look like. And then when she finally met me, she says, "That's it? This is you? Where's the rest of you?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She says, "You sound so much bigger." And I was like, "No, this is the full package." And this is how I feel sometimes about the man that we're about to have. He's a media practitioner, and he has so many initiatives that have really given our Zimbabwean youth opportunities to professionalize, one, to monetize, number two, but also to learn and to grow in as far as artistry is concerned. We all cried when that one other musician died of diabetes. Remember him? As a nation, we cried because I think at the back of our mind we were crying at the sense of loss and talent that we'd lost. But when he was alive, what did we do to help him professionalize, monetize, and grow? So I've given you some hints about who he is. I'll give you another one. He is also the founder and creative director of Jubilika Dance Trust. If you've heard of Amplifier Festival, yeah, that's him again. What about Creative Business Conference? That's also him again. Kuyenda Productions, what about those ones? Yep, it's still him. I promise you this CV is like from here to Mashingo. And we'll keep going through it as we are going on. But I'm not going to tell you his name. I've hinted already who the guest of the week we have this morning. Welcome to Big Business Pep Talk. We're going to be talking about business and artistry, the partnerships that are there. And I still want to know from you if you have been part of a partnership that has not worked, or if it is working, what is it that's making it working? And all this is made possible by our partner every single Monday. Our business coach, as we like to call him, Stephene Chikozho, comes in. I'm sure at his office, they call him boss because he's the managing director of Creative Urban Agency. He is a marketer. He's also a strategist, as you'll hear. And he's the kind of guy that is helping us make our business a little bit more rounded and beyond just kamsika. No to that thinking. You and I must expand. So, good morning, Coach Stephene, as I like to call you. I'm sure at work, the boss chef, I don't know what they say. What that I totally despise is murungu.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say murungu, and no, this is 2023. That language and behavior we say no to.
Good morning, FoLake. Thank you so much. Even boss for me doesn't work.
Right?
Yeah. Remember, we always say leaders should create more leaders. So we are all, in the same portfolio, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to be here. It's exciting to be here after the weekend.
Yeah.
And the topic that we're going to talk about today is very exciting. It's close to my heart. I'm glad that we have a special guest as well.
So before we even get into our topic, did you ever have a partnership, Stephene, and has it ended well?
Yeah, sure. We sure had business artist partnership. We have had with a very influential and epic gospel musician in Zimbabwe.
I know him. Has he been here?
Yeah, he has.
Okay.
He has been before, and that partnership was quite phenomenal in that the objective, I would say the purpose was great. The objective was to uplift fellow artists, especially those that are upcoming, and there were projects that were related to how we could raise funds in order to achieve that. So yeah, it was we had an epic event, a wonderful event where most of the artists in Zimbabwe actually came to support, and yeah, I would say it was quite a big success. Looking at the teamwork that came out of it, and also the support from the arts industry. I could see that in that event the artists are for each other. They supported each other a lot. Yeah.
So when we're looking in terms of business now, most companies will support the arts or an artist that they feel is meeting their company objectives and even possibly creating some sort of value for the company. I wanted to ask you, what are some of the reasons you will find a business will engage artists to be a partner in their business?
Yeah, I would say firstly, you find that business and the marketplace has evolved over time. The advent of the digital age has brought with it opportunities and challenges along the way. And you find that with that development of the digital age, there are quite a number of things that artists can take advantage of in terms of promoting businesses. You talked earlier on about influencers, you talked earlier on about brand ambassadors, but it's much wider than that, like you were saying, with regards to the partnerships that can be done. And I would like to refer to one big event that happened recently, the Stanbic Jacaranda Festival. I think within the last 2 weeks, it was a brilliant event with so many artists, some Zimbabwean artists and others coming from South Africa. So what it did, it made them perform, but it also contextualized Stanbic within the cultural industry, its relevance to that industry in Zimbabwe. But not only that, the fact that there were artists that came from South Africa and other countries, it meant that there were opportunities for possible collaborations amongst those artists, further to what the event was for. It would establish networks for the artists that could be taken further And when we hear about collaborations, it's some of those partnerships that bring them on, that bring them to life. And I think it's one of the most successful business artist events that I have seen over a long time.
It's 29 minutes after 9. We're talking this morning about business and artist partnerships, the challenges and the opportunities that are there. I can't wait for you to hear the voice and to meet our guest of the week. And you're going to love this guy. But before we even open up his mic, I wanted to ask you, Stephen, when we say partnerships, what do we mean?
Okay, I would say, simply put, it's a collaboration. First, there are two parties, or even more, that see value in coming together. In some cases, they have a common vision. In some cases, they see that there is leverage amongst them where they can bring their talents together for a common goal. I'll give an example to simplify it. Let's say company A wants to promote its brand, and they know that there is an artist who has got a huge following. There is an opportunity between the two parties to partner together. The company then engages the artist in order to, to take advantage of that following, of that authenticity that the artist has, of that influence that the artist has. And in the process, the artist is able to sell the kind of influence that they have through their followers and fan base, and they monetize. And it's a win-win partnership. It's a win-win business. The business has achieved brand promotion, while the artist has been able to monetize their talent and their fan base so that they can benefit financially.
It is 9:31 on Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. So I'm excited for you to meet the voice that I did say is joining our conversation this morning, talking about business and artistry partnerships. His name is Plot Marco. He is indeed a powerful voice in our creative industry, and we thought there couldn't be anybody else really to come in and join the conversation. He is the founder and curator of Earground Africa. And I know you've come across Earground and you've been reading some of the informative posts that he gives us. It is a leading digital media working to document creative stories and also put a volume up for voices that are in our creators around the continent. He's also a very innovative. He also is doing a lot of work on the ground to support the careers of people like musicians, dancers, and hip-hop artists in our country and also beyond. Please help me welcome Plot Marco. Plot, good morning and welcome to Capital.
Wow, I need to document that. It's the most humbling introduction that I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel humbled and honored. Thank you so much.
We are even more honored and humbled to have you in our conversation today, because this is one I even saw on our social media. It was already creating some sort of engagement between business and artists. Plot, when you look at artists and traditional businesses at the moment, they seem to speak very different languages. We've always assumed when we look at artists,
yeah, true.
What do you think the role artists can play within an organization when partnerships are concerned?
Well, I mean, if you look globally, the trend is actually shifting and it's changing in a very interesting way. Now it's actually a prerequisite for any institution to actually have some creative component within them. No matter what sort of business that they are doing, you find everything that's going on, say with the digital marketing and so forth and engagement, it involves a creative mind. So the relationship can no longer be transactional like it used to be in the past, or in some instances. There has to be, a very cordial, mutually beneficial relationship between business and the corporate. And artists are no longer just artists; they're also business people. So it's like business to business partnerships. But the difference is that artists are bringing a different type of business and a mutual coexistence of the two institutions and an exchange of business. Can easily see both growing. Artists benefit, businesses also benefit, and I mean the different forms. Businesses can commission artists to do work for them. Businesses can engage artists to do marketing for them. And businesses can also sponsor. They can just come in and sponsor. And businesses can also be involved in support educational programs that support the development of artists and benefit from that. I mean, we have seen it globally. Some of the most popular brands, they are associating with artists. You know, be it from car making companies to beverage making industries. They're all relying on artists to sell their brands and communicate with people. So the artists are sort of the vehicle that takes brands at any level, any form of business, be it civic society, be it government, be it the generic, you know, corporate enterprise. They need the artists to get to the people.
Yeah. And we've also seen, especially from a Zimbabwean point of view, artists, when they're doing well, one of the reasons why they seem to fall from the pedestal is often because they seem to lack business acumen. They simply did not know that their talent was not enough. It's almost as if our artists, especially from a Zimbabwean point of view, do not possess the skills that they need to sustain their talent.
At most, you find it, that's the situation. A bit sad, because our educational curriculum does not really prepare young people to get the right skills and knowledge for them to navigate the industry as creatives. So you'd find, I mean, most of the artists that are talented, they have their talent, which is fair and fine, but they do not have an understanding of the business side of things. So for them to manage that talent properly, they would need a bit of a skill, a bit of training. And who manages this artist? At most, it's friends. Family. At some point, it used to be the person who had a phone, who had, you know, you had your Zim dancehall artist blowing up, they don't have a phone. The next person in the hood had a phone, became their manager, you know. And how do you then expect them to propel that artist's career into a space where they start to monetize? And even to understand the corporate language, because business speaks a different language than artists.
Yes.
So there has to be, an understanding of how do I engage if I'm getting into corporate space, how do I dress, how do I present myself, what sort of language is acceptable, and how do I even model my brand in such a way that I can still balance my art, not compromise what I'm doing as an artist, but at the same time maintain and be able to attract that corporate value. Some of the biggest artists are not making money from singing, they're making money from corporate deals, corporate endorsements. But you find the businesses here, they're also looking at artists as, okay, we just want an influencer, and that's it. Wear our t-shirt. It's linear in our approach. There isn't really a strong foundation that makes you say, I want to wear or use this product because this artist uses it.
Right. So it's also business also themselves have not figured out what the collaboration could actually look like beyond there's got to be more thinking and strategy outside that. So you also mentioned something very interesting there. You said, you know, right now our education system is also not preparing. I think it's not just the artists, hey. I think most of us are not really taught money in school. So what are some of the skills you would say any artist must have if they want to attract that corporate value that you're talking about, but also so that they have some sort of credibility if collaborations are to come their way?
I would say, right now, digital marketing is one of the most important skills because it brings together the marketing and also just understanding digital, how the digital world works. A lot of the money for artists comes through digital platforms, be it your streaming, be it from influencer perspective, to just your brand endorsement and so forth. You find a lot of activity happens online. The bulk of the artists that have made it in Zimbabwe, you find they do not have access to their dashboard for monetization, be it Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, you name it, right? Because of the failure to understand that. So when you put such a person now in a corporate space, they will not understand. Somebody who has never earned a paycheck, somebody who has never been in a corporate environment, they will struggle. And there will be a disconnect. There will be, which I think is the biggest barrier right now in Zimbabwe, where the expectation between the corporate and the artist is different. The artist is just seeing money, you know, and the business wants numbers, they want impact, they want value for money, but the artist is thinking, look, I charge so much. Can you validate why you're charging so much money? for what you're going to do and what exactly are you going to do. So artists should be able to even pitch up, come up with a pitch. Okay, yeah, I'm an artist, I'm popular, but this is what I'm going to do over the next year, and this is how we're going to measure that value, so that when the company puts money, they would say, okay, we gave you money, this is how we wanted our brand to be associated with. We managed to actually create ABC business, or even conversion to say, look, if you were this kind of brand or you're part of our marketing team, it means that we're going to have an increase in business. Are we seeing that? Are we seeing that up? So they will need to learn just the basic business practices. The practices are the same. The principles apply the same. It may be you're in mining, you're in finance. Principles of business are the same everywhere. Yeah. So those are some of the things that I would say artists may need to learn. Marketing, business, and also communication. One of the most fundamental area that a lot of artists forego is to learn basic proper communication, how they communicate and engage with people. And a lot of artists miss out because of this poor communication, how they communicate with people, how they engage. Some can just backlash and clap back on their fans, and company can decide not to engage with you because they feel like, hey, what if we have one of our customers ask you something, are you going to engage with them this way? Or what if you communicate in this way and it doesn't align with the kind of spirit and vibe that we're trying to promote with that brand?
Gotcha. So, yeah. If you're an entrepreneur and if you're an artist, we're speaking to you today as we are trying to bridge the gap between artists and business partnerships that are there, looking at the advantages and the opportunities that are there. And I'm hoping you, as somebody who is into business and perhaps you have considered involving an artist within your business, you aren't thinking linear, as Plot has said. What else are you thinking of doing with somebody that you feel you can merge within the business? And if you're an artist, whether you're a photographer, a graphic designer, a musician, a guitarist, whatever artistry you are into, how are you positioning yourself such that you attract these business collaborations, that you also possess the skills that would be necessary for a business? When we come back, we want to find out a little bit more about some of the opportunities and challenges that are out there between business and artistry coming together.
Get going and get to Summer Splash 3rd edition on Saturday, the 21st of October, 2023 at First Capital Bank Sports Club, Harare from 12 noon till late. Celebrate summer with the whole family in style. Loads of entertainment for the kids, summer games, tasty food and drink, shopping stalls, music, a whole lot more. Bring your cooler boxes. Admission is $5. To book your stall, call 0761 781 555 now. Summer Splash 3rd edition is proudly brought to you by Capital 100.4 FM and Chicken Basket. Summer Splash 3rd edition, fun for the whole family.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we have here today is something.
Are you paying attention? FoLake.
Sorry, I'm
100. Business Pep Talk.
9:43. Many thanks to Beyond Borders Logistics who make this possible every single Monday. We get to listen to voices that are doing pretty well in as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, as far as business is concerned, to help you and I connect the dots towards effective entrepreneurial ventures that you may be doing, whether it's the marketing side of it, whether it's you thinking deliberately about creativity and innovation. We talk about it every single Monday morning. And this Monday, we are lucky to have he who is a media entrepreneur. He's a creative director. He's a cultural curator. He also is passionate about helping young people who are in dance, music, hip hop to understand a little bit more about the music behind their artistry so that they can professionalize. How many times have you been to a show with a local artist and they show up 3 hours late? Or they show up and they clearly are a little bit happy, they are buzzing, you can tell. Right? All those unprofessional experiences you might have had. He's the guy that's helping these young people say, no, listen, guys, take yourself seriously, monetize, learn and grow and develop so that you also can be taken seriously. Otherwise, you might recognize him as the curator and founder of Earground, which is a leading digital media working to document stories that are happening across Africa that are important for you and I to understand. He's also the creative director of Jimilika Dance Trust Amplify Festival. If you've heard about that, Creative Business Conference, and the Mafue International Festival of Dance Skate Zimbabwe. These are all ventures that he's involved with. And we thought he would be quite the right mind to talk to as much as business and artistry partnerships are concerned today. He started off explaining to us some of the skills that are important for you as somebody who's creative, but also if you are in business, what you need to be thinking about. His name is Plot Marco. Plot, talk to us a little bit more about these partnerships we're talking about. Right now, as a country, as Zimbabwe, which sectors do you think are most open and aware of creative collaborations?
I'm starting to see banks are opening up. Mr. Chikozho just gave an example of the recent Jacaranda Festival, a success story that I think a lot of the businesses need to look at and appreciate. I also see companies in insurance supporting in remittance business because of the diaspora community that's growing. They're also getting in to support the creative. But there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to support the artists. And I think the support, it's not donating. This is like really supporting in the sense that the businesses derive value from working with artists, and artists derive value from working with the business. So it's not necessarily donating and give out handouts, but to say, look, how do we get in the same space and be able to have a conversation that see us having an ecosystem that allows money to flow from one point to the other, and value also to flow from one point to the other, because at the end of the day, if it's working for the creatives, it's also working for business, and at the end of the day, we've got, better marketing opportunities, better brands, and better value for our country.
Yeah. You also mentioned, Plot, about how even as an artist, you must be ahead of the pack and also propose and suggest ways in which you can make that collaboration with the business make sense. Normally, Steve, you talk to us about how, understanding the business model, the financials and things like that. Is it also important for an artist to have that picture of a business or the organization they want to partner with, having a clear understanding of their business model and things?
Definitely. I think that's the first part of call. Before you engage as a creative with any corporate, understand the nature of the business. Do a lot of ground, work, research. Get to know
ground research.
Yes. We have a recent case that I won't mention the corporate, but that put artists through a Ponzi scheme kind of partnership. And you remember how much it almost damaged certain influencers or artists, because they are people that had lost their money and they had been convinced by these influencers to buy into this Ponzi scheme. So as a creative, make a lot of research, get to understand the brand. Don't be quick to jump in because you want money. And also be clear about your expectations. What do you expect from this partnership? Money-wise, and in every sense, be very clear so that when you get into this partnership, you don't get surprises. And also, I think it's very important for the creative when you're partnering to also get the work done. It's not just posting. Get the work done. Sometimes companies feel shortchanged because they partner with creatives, and because artists in general, especially in Zimbabwe, they feel entitled. They feel like somebody owes them. Fans owe them support. Businesses owe them support. Radio stations owe them airplay. Bloggers owe them reviews. Like everybody owes them. Not them artists owing their fans quality performances, owing quality delivery, and also better engagement. So I think it has to be balanced there. And so after doing the research, you're understanding what the brand stands for, understanding what you need to be doing, and actually getting the work done.
Yeah. Stephen, let's talk about some of the challenges that are there in terms of building these partnerships between the corporate as well as the artist. One of the major setbacks most artists will face is shrinking budgets, because you can imagine as an organization, they have a lot of things that they want to prioritize. It could be expenditure to expand the business. and then there is an artist that they want to collaborate with, or they have had a collaboration with in the past. How can this be a challenge, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge if we take it from the perspective that artists have got no value that they bring to business. So if there is a shrinking budget, for example, an artist who knows what the business wants would actually bring in more sales. So this is why it is important, just like what Claude was saying, to understudy the business and to have an impact-oriented mindset, you know, to say, if I am going to partner this business, what change am I going to bring? What impact am I going to make? In the end, what are the key performance indicators that am I going to use to measure the work that I have done for them? If artists and businesses in their partnerships were able to do that, and were able to make money, and were able to make an impact in the end, I don't think any business would actually shudder from partnering an artist for a common marketing campaign, because they would know that in the end, that campaign is going to bring them money. It's going to raise their brand to certain levels, which are higher than what they were. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
So I think it's this alignment of objectives which is so important, and also making sure that we deliver. You know, delivery is very, very important, and it's one thing that is often ignored, and that's why businesses in the end then would say we don't see any benefit of influencer marketing or brand ambassadorship, because we have not inculcated within our minds how we can make an impact and be able to measure it and be able to demonstrate that this is the change that we brought, and this is how now you look from where you were before.
Yeah. And just adding on to that, Claude, isn't that also another major challenge that artists will face? That I think a lot of the benefits that they bring are what they call soft, sometimes intangible. They're not always easy to quantify or to qualify in terms of a matrix scale, as always. And that may present a challenge, I'd imagine, for the artists, also for the business to justify why, one, they must pump in money. Because when you're looking at the creative industry, it's quantification. It's soft.
Yeah, sure.
Problem?
Yeah, it's a problem, but it's also an opportunity. I think for the creative, there's need to be flexible and adaptable. Things will not always go the way that you want. So you may say, okay, this is what I agreed to. Yes, stick to your contract, but at the same time, build a relationship. Nothing is as important as a relationship. So if you're in a relationship, you can imagine how many things that you do effortlessly without even thinking. But if it's a transaction, you feel like everything. I mean, if your girlfriend asks you for an ice cream, you feel it. If your boyfriend asks you for something, you feel it, because you are in a transactional kind of relationship. But if there is a mutually beneficial relationship, you become part and parcel. People cannot even separate you from the brand that you're working with. You know, so I think it can be a challenge for some, but knowing that you've got the power to actually create that kind of soft impact without necessarily putting up the numbers all the time, that can actually excite a business. You say, look, what, this artist, wherever they're going, they are representing our brand. And there are many ways where we are benefiting from just associating with these artists. The artists that we got to know of because of their association with certain brands, right? And the brands benefited so much from working with them, but also for the artists. And when you're starting up, I mean, one important thing is that you don't get the money that you wanted at first. It starts slow, it starts small. But one thing that I know that works is when you get into an arrangement, you do it as if you've been paid $1 billion. It will make the next brand want to work with you. It will make even that brand want to invest more money with you. The most important thing, I think, for an artist is not to engage in too long a contract, so that when you really decide otherwise, or you see that, okay, look, after so and so time this is not working, or I've made good impact for them, you can actually bargain better because you've got a 1-year contract. But if you've got a 5-year contract, 5 years time, so many things would have happened in 5 years. You'd have lost out, or the company would have lost.
It's 6 minutes before we get to 10. We're about to round up, and I hope you have been having some light bulb moments as we're talking about this. As an artist, Do you find yourself hard to work with? When upload somehow you move around like you are, you know, as if we owe you everything, and you forget that actually sometimes. Sidebar, I actually know of a musician whom she's pretty big in this country, right? And she was booked by a bank at that time to do an activation, and she showed up 2 hours later. And they cancelled her and they said, we will never work with you again. Because in terms of professionalism and what we stand for as a brand, you do not represent that. We say, corporate, we will not make it as creatives. We've got to learn in plots, words, to be professional, to monetize, to grow, and to learn. Let me just read some messages that came in as we were asking if you've ever been in a partnership and how that's going and if it's going well. Anonymous, good morning. I was approached by a friend from high school to do business, but I walked away. I did not like his attitude. This is also possibly a good example of diverging objectives and goals that you're talking about. Good morning to you, 3681. So as we are rounding off, Stephen, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
In closing.
Yeah, I would say, you know, we observed a number of challenges, and sometimes you also feel, I would say, sympathetic to artists because, you know, sometimes you can't do everything on your own. You can't be expected to be a business person, a numbers person, and everything. So I think in this observation of partnerships and opportunities and challenges, we should be able to assist artists in that they are not the beginning and the end of their careers. They can, just like you have a manager, they can actually hire professionals to help them, because the biggest challenge that I've observed is with content creation, where the content that artists bring does not align to the goals of the corporate. So I think professionals, I have seen now quite a number of artists actually engaging professionals that help them with the partnerships that they might need to have with corporates. Yeah.
All right. So as we are rounding up, Plot, your parting shots as we're looking at business and artistry working together.
I think whatever challenges that we're facing right now, they present opportunities. Imagine 15 years ago, there were no platforms like these where such conversations would be made. But I would urge the artists to actually participate, where there are workshops, where there is knowledge being shared, because the gap that we have right now is that of knowledge, lack of knowledge. And it's both, I mean, but at least with business, they keep upgrading. We see them attending conferences and workshops and so forth. But for artists, especially those that could be benefiting from such partnerships, they are not participating, they are not learning, them or their management. So they need to upgrade. You can't just wait for a manager to know everything. What if your next day is not there? What are you going to do? You're going to start again. You have to know some of these things. But also, I would say Zimbabwe has so much potential to create business between the creatives and the corporate. And if these thrive and flourish, we're going to see also brand Zimbabwe thrive and flourishing. Because that's what we envy in South Africa. It's purely that. How as artists associate with the brands, and we want to wear what the artists are wearing. We want to drink what the artists are drinking. We want to literally live where the artists are living because of how brands have managed to actually associate and create value.
And because also artists themselves are the biggest curators of our culture as a country.
Biggest storytellers.
So we owe it to ourselves to see our creatives coming together with the business community. Remember, we also said at the moment, the business community is the biggest patron for the creatives. So as a creative, what are you doing to make sure that, one, you identify a business that you could offer value to, and have you understand what that business is all about? We'll be back again next week right here on Big Business Pep Talk, courtesy of our friends at Beyond Borders Logistics and Soccer International, who do this every single Monday for us. Many thanks to Stephen Chikozho. You can also catch him on
0772 409 651.
And I know you're going to continue reading all the interesting literature Ground is going to be giving us, courtesy of Plot Marco. What an honor it was to have you in the studio, Plot. Thank you so much.
It was an honor to meet you in person.
I know. I know. So Prat and I have been talking over the years, over the phone. We've done conversations together, but we've never actually met. No digital marketing guy. Coming up next, it's going to be detox, and we're talking this morning about meth sex, otherwise known as chemsex. Have you heard about that?